The Electoral Collage, intelligent voting system or harbinger of doom. The map below illustrates the distribution of votes in the 2016 presidential election. The states in the red represent a Republican voting majority, the blue a Democratic majority, and the states that are yellow are states that can swing either way, sometimes vote Democrats, sometimes Republican. While the process of voting may seem straightforward, that the winner of the election would always simply be the person who received the most votes, the Electoral College often makes this simple process much more complicated than it needs to be. Essentially, the Electoral College is a system that assigns a certain amount of electoral votes to each individual state based on its population. For example, California, the most populous state in the United States, has 55 electoral votes. When people vote, they are really not voting for the candidate, but for electors who will vote for that candidate. To win the presidential election, a candidate has to win 270, just over half, of all the electoral votes.
Yes. So pretty much everyone does their votes in a specific state, and then whichever state gets whichever party gets the most votes from that state, then they get a certain amount of votes depending on how big the state is towards the president they voted for.
So I didn't really know what it was until super recent, especially since the last election, but the Electoral College is essentially the system that helps us elect our president and vice president and the political party that'll be running this country, and it isn't by actual count of the votes, it's like the ratio of the state or something, if that makes any sense.
I do, yes. Okay, so the way that it works is that in our country, you cast your vote, and that vote is counted. And then however your vote is counted for the president, that vote is then taken to the Electoral College, and your electors vote for you. So they count the populist vote, right? And then your electors for your designated section then turn around and vote the way that your county, your precinct, your district voted. In practice, when the Electoral College was created, when the Constitution was written, those electors did not have to abide by the way that those votes were cast. They could vote however they thought was fit. So, in theory, the Electoral College is not the best because it was created to suppress the populist thoughts.
All right.
Okay, so I believe swing states are states that could either tilt towards the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I think some are Florida and Ohio, and then safe states are ones that are always Democratic or Republican. So Alabama is always Republican and California is always Democrat.
Well, a swing state, Michigan is a swing state, but a swing state it could either go Democrat or Republican. A safe state is consistently the same, so it's either blue or red.
Oh yeah, I think it's important because we need everyone in the country to say what they believe, so we actually have a more accurate voting on who everyone actually wants to be president.
I think voting is incredibly important. It's how our voices are heard as citizens in the United States. It's how our voices are heard on a local level and on a state level and a national level. Voting is the way in which you can influence your opinion. I think the Electoral College is a little tricky, especially in the modern era that we live in. Technology has kind of got to a point where we might not need the Electoral College anymore because we're able to record votes on a wider scale now. So a majority election might be a better way.
I think there was a time where it probably was a little more beneficial, but I don't think that it is going to be the most accurate way to count the democracy here in America.
I think that it's an antiquated system. I think that it was created to suppress the ideals of the American people. Nowadays, it should be gotten rid of. It just doesn't make any sense to have something like that in our system anymore, and it didn't make sense in the beginning. So I think that it's time for a change.
But it's really hard to say because we do have all this technology now. I would be very concerned of people, not having a safe enough way for us to vote, but ideally I would want it to be accessible to everyone, so that means still paper voting and electronic voting.
I mean, in most democracies, they don't really have an electoral college. Whatever the people vote is is who wins the election. So I don't know. I think we would just continue to function without the electoral college.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope that you've learned a lot about the Electoral College